In today's episode, I want to look at the issue of advice, because I guess there's always people who will, and you'll have experienced this in your life, I'm sure, there's always somebody who will give you advice with a capital A. And what advice means is that somebody says to you, this is what you should be doing. And if only you take these steps, then everything's going to change for you. If you only do this, then this will work for you. And often when we're hearing this advice with a capital A, and by a capital A I mean that people are saying, if only you do this, then this will happen. Often when we hear advice from people, and I don't know if you've experienced this too, but I guess that you have, someone's kind of pushing this advice with a capital A on you, and you can feel yourself resisting it. You can feel yourself kind of almost trying to escape the shackles of this advice. Now, here's what you need to do. You just need to do 1, 2, 3, and then, I can almost feel it in my body now as I think of this kind of imposition of what you must do, and here's what will definitely work with you, and all you have to do is to do it. And then, of course, you're the failure if it doesn't work. And it's funny doing a podcast like this, because part of my role is to throw out ideas that might be helpful, and to an extent it could be construed as advice. But I think the key word in that sentence is ideas that might be helpful. So I'm well aware that some of the things that have worked for many people that I share here will not work for others. And the reason for that is that our psychologies, our personal histories are unique to us. There is no kind of cookie cutter approach where you can just say to a person, all you need to do is 1, 2, 3. Because people, thankfully, are far more individual and special and unique than just being able to put them through some sort of factory of approaches that is going to work with everybody. I mean, not even clothes work with everybody, do they? There are some sizes that fit some but not others. There are some styles that look great on some but not others. And so why would we expect that something as personal as our own psychologies could be put through something which is a kind of cookie cutter approach? Just follow these steps, whoever you are, and you're going to get the outcome that you want. Now, because psychologies and personal histories and human beings are so unique, I've always had a very suspicious approach, I suppose. A skeptical would be a better word to use, a skeptical approach to those who have what you might call a very objectivist approach to psychology and change and psychotherapy. That sense of, I have these objective rules and all you need to do is follow them approach to therapy and personal change. And instead, what I think is a much better approach is something which is more collaborative, something which the things that one might try are actually co-constructed between the people involved in that change. And of course, if it's therapy, that'll be a co-construction between me as the therapist and my client. But I think it's really important to use frameworks which are helpful frameworks in order to kind of get to the answers, if you like, get to what needs to be done, but make sure that the solutions are built together. The idea that anybody can just have a set of instructions to apply, to impose upon a human being and expect them just to obey the instructions in order to get change, I think is really flawed for a number of reasons. First of all, I don't think it works like that. I think people have real genius in terms of things that specifically work for them. And I know that in my life that there's things that will specifically work for me because I'm this unique human being. And if I were to tell you to do them, you'd know instantly that that's not going to work for you for whatever reason. And vice versa, you could come knocking on my door with advice with a capital A, and there is no way it's going to work for me because we're two different people. And I think the other reason why it's not particularly a good idea to kind of impose these sorts of ideas, as well as the fact that change doesn't really work like that. The other reason why it's not a good idea just to impose things is because we'd miss out so many resources if our frameworks didn't allow us both to co-create something. And it's often the case that when we change, the thing that we will often do is delve into parts of ourselves and find something really quite unique that leads to the change. We find something that really maybe only applies to us and maybe just a handful of other people that creates the change necessary. And so the idea that there can be some authority figure with a list of commandments that all you need to do is to comply and obey and then everything is going to be okay, I think misses so much. And so my approach to change, whether it's change that I do alone with myself or whether it's change that I get involved in with clients, is to always use frameworks which are really, really useful and really powerful, but which allow so much room for the individual's experience, the individual's life history, the individual's own genius to really be part of the process. And by doing it that way, what you're actually getting is the benefit of both of the people in the room. Can you imagine having, a meeting of 1,000 great minds and only listening to one person? Only allowing one person to say what the answer is. Only allowing one person to come up with any great ideas. Even though you've got 1,000 great minds in the room. Well, it's obvious, isn't it, that if you were to just listen to one person in that room of 1,000, that you're missing 999 contributions from wonderful minds that would have really helped. That you're only taking like 1,000th of your possible resources if you were to do that. Well, it's exactly the same if you've got two people in a room. Why would you have two people in a room and miss out one of them? And so, when I'm doing this podcast, I hope you're aware as you're listening to some of the episodes that these ideas that I'm throwing out there, I'm almost kind of throwing ideas at the wall, really, knowing that some of them will peel back off again and just not be a good fit for you. And some of them will stick. But also knowing that some of those that peel off the wall and are not a good fit for you will absolutely stick with somebody else because we're all different. And so as you listen to these podcast episodes, just notice that the ideas that I'm putting out there are just gentle invites. That they're not advice with a capital A. They're not me saying that you must do this and you will get that outcome and this will fit you come what may, because that's not what change is like. And that's not what we are like as human beings. And that's why when I put these episodes out, it's always an invite. It's always something that might help. And that's why when I do therapy in person as well, I always use frameworks that allows the personal history of the person to come in to that kind of kitchen, if you like, where we're baking up a solution. And so if you like this idea, and if it helps to think that there are actually more than one school of therapy, more than one school of personal change, and that my inclination is away from those at the Ten Commandments, because I like to use all the genius in the room rather than just one supposed clever clogs who thinks they have all the answers for you but surely can't have. And that I come from that school which tries to provide space for that, tries to provide a real platform for that, for knowing that change actually is a collaboration, that the answers that are built will come from both of us, and that often a good question can be a lot more valuable than an imposed answer. So if you like this idea and want to share it, please do, and you can subscribe to the podcast. Wherever you get your podcasts from, you can watch these in videos as well. Go to asliceoftherapy.com. And if you'd like to work with me directly, I'm Alun Parry from the Liverpool Psychotherapy practice at liverpoolpsychotherapy.co.uk. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow.